to the Jami Dulaney Plant-Based Wellness Podcast. My name is Jami Dulaney, and I'm your host. I'm a plant-based cardiologist and endurance athlete in Southwest Florida. Welcome and thanks for listening. Well, as promised, I am back from Leadville, Colorado after the Leadville 100-mile run, and I'm going to give you an update on what happened. So if you only listen to this podcast for plant-based nutrition, there'll be a little bit of that, what I ate, but for the most part, this is all about the Leadville 100. I want to start by saying, and I'll bring this back around, Mr. Lemley, I got a C at Leadville. Mr. Lemley was my 7th grade high school science teacher. It was the only C I ever got in school that I really remember. He was a fabulous teacher. I credit him for a lot of the reason why I went to medical school and have told him so much as that. He was a very strict science teacher, and in 7th grade, we did things that I was still doing in high school that, again, he was well ahead of his time and expected a lot out of his students. But when my first test with Mr. Lemley, I got a C, and I was thoroughly disappointed. And what it taught me was I need to study harder and to prepare better. And that set me up for a good academic career. And now I have to go back to those lessons and start to apply them to my trail training, I would guess. Anyway, if you're new to this podcast, the Leadville 100 is something that's been on my radar for about 3 years. We did the Leadville Marathon, which is 26.2 miles, a few years ago, and didn't know anything about Leadville. Leadville is the highest city in North America at 10,300 feet. It is an old mining town, various kind of mines. There's actually mining there to date, but it was originally the boom of the silver mining rush. And at one point, later on in the years, it was another metal that they were mining, molybdenum. And that was the town's main employer. And when the mine shut overnight in 1983, 2,000 people were without jobs. And one of the mining foremen, named Ken Klauber, decided that he was going to try to save the town. Long story short, he and his good friend Marilee decided that they were going to have a race, a 100-mile trail race, because that would bring people into the town and have them spend the night there so they could raise money. And again, long story short, in 1983, the first Trail 100 marathon, or the first Trail 100-mile race across the sky included 45 people, and I think there were 10 or 12 finishers. Anyway, this story of dig deep, little mining town, how these two people saved the town and how they turned these races, and it became a race series, a marathon, a 50-miler, a mountain bike race of 50 miles, a mountain bike race of 100 miles. They turned this into an event that saved the town but also gave back to the community. Every student in the county, Lake County, where the Leadville is, receives $2,000 scholarship on graduation to go to whatever they want to do, whether it's trade school, truck driving school, college, whatever. It also, there's a foundation associated with it that helps provide school lunches. So it's a very small community that has maintained this race as a way of helping the community, even though it's been bought by Lifetime Fitness. And Ken and Marilee, now in their 80s, are still very much a part of this race. They fire the shotgun in the beginning of the race. They are there to finish, there for the when people finish. And so it is something that the whole concept I have fallen in love with over the years. And even though this race is, again, in Leadville, 10,300 feet, climbs to 12,000 some hundred feet, I wanted to give it a try. Even though there are very few 60-year-old women, I think it's probably less than 3 women that have actually ever completed the race. Even though I live in Florida, on a good day, I can get to 13 feet of elevation in my house. And even though I haven't been trail running all that long. So a lot of aspirations to do a very hard race in a very short period of time. But nevertheless, I guess you might say the clock, I feel like the clock had been ticking for me, hitting 60 and in that age group where not that many people finish. Time is of the essence, so to speak. The other why for doing it is just to push my limits, to see what I absolutely can do. And so the preparation began for this race. Again, after that first marathon, we kind of fell in love with the idea of doing the longer distance and doing that 100-mile race. The first 100-mile race I attempted was long haul here in Florida 2 years ago. Actually, 2.5 years ago at this point. And that was to see if I could cover the distance and run through the night. The problem with long haul is it was really muddy that year, and there was about 4 miles, 16-mile loops, 6 of them. So about 20 miles of that course was kind of ankle-deep mud, and I got an injury. I got a posterior tibial tendon injury and some little nerve entrapment as well, and it's taken me a long time to recover from it. I kind of poo-pooed the injury at first. It's just a tendon. It'll heal. I kept running, training, doing all kinds of things, throwing at it, and it just had taken a very long time for it to heal. And it probably wasn't until February of this year that I could say for sure that it was starting to go away. Even when I did Cruel Jewel this spring, I had a little bit of issue with the tendon and my ankle stiffening up. But since that time, I've been able to train and increase my mileage, increase my speed. I've been working with a coach, a running coach, and things have been getting better. Nevertheless, our trail training has been limited. Our altitude training certainly has limited, but we have the advantage of living in hot, humid Florida, so that actually does help. But nevertheless, not a whole lot of trail training. We went out in June to do a training run. I attempted the 50-mile run in July, and again, timed out mainly for another little bit of a niggle, a sciatica type flare-up. But nevertheless, really was ready to go ahead and toe the line and give it a shot. I guess if you were to, or I would to give myself a spirit animal, it would have to be the burro or the donkey. And they do have donkey races in Leadville. My mother used to call me Seabiscuit when I first started doing marathons. It took Seabiscuit a long time to finally get it right and came from behind. So that was a good horse name for me. But donkey is known for not really doing things that they're not sure of. That's why they used them in Leadville to actually help with the silver mining, because they wouldn't go over a cliff if they didn't think that it was safe. They would stop and save the coal miners. So I got a little bit of burro in me. They're stubborn. They can do a lot of things. They have a lot of endurance, but they're not going to do things that they're not quite sure that they can complete. And I had a little bit of that going into Leadville. I worked with, and we'll go over my coaches a little bit. I have a mind coach, sports psychologist per se, and I actually worked with her to kind of get my head straight and learn to troubleshoot and to keep negative thoughts out and to think positive and to race plan and race strategize, because it's 100 miles. You got to break it down. Bad things happen. There's highs and lows, and how to go about that. And when we've worked over the last year with those thoughts, but I got to tell you, there's just a little burro piece of me that, not quite ready for this, not quite sure I'm going to pull it off. If I can do these things, I might be okay. We'll have to see how it goes. That's not exactly how you'd like to go into a race of this distance, but nevertheless, time is of the essence. We're going to go ahead and give it a go. So, little background for you there. I also have a running coach. My running coach is based in Colorado. He's actually completed his 10th Leadville, so he's got a good track record on what it takes to run the Leadville 100. However, he lives in Colorado and not Florida, and significantly younger than I am. And I think there's certainly a perception of doubt on my part that he just didn't really feel like a 63-year-old Floridian was going to be ready for this race. Didn't tell me so, but one of the things I'm good at as a physician is reading people's eyes and minds, and it's like, so I got a little bit of feedback from him saying, this is a long shot. somewhat regretful. You get to choose how you interpret somebody when they talk, when there's I have doubts or even if somebody tries to take your hope away, so to speak. But nevertheless, I think that certainly plays in the back of my mind a little bit where, again, a little bit more fuel for this is a long shot was certainly part of the process there. I will digress and say that nobody should take your hope away about anything, whether it's a illness or a race or anything. It's really time to look on if you feel that somebody is questioning the possibilities that you have and whatever your journey is. And that's one thing that we try to do in our practice is never take hope away from someone. We help them with whatever they need for as long as they need us. And nobody really knows. I always tell people, I don't have an 8-ball. I don't hold the keys to all the answers. And most of the time things don't happen like you anticipate they're going to happen. So we should keep hope and alive at all possible. But nevertheless, I digress. The rest of my team, Michael was going to be my pacer at mile 66 after Hope Pass. Michael and I have run together. We've done triathlons. He paced me in long haul. He is Mr. Positive. So he is Mr. Hopeful, and wouldn't talk me out of doing or continuing, and would, again, spur me along in a way that is best fit for me. And so I admire that aspect of him, and I knew that he would be able to take me from crossing over the mountain and then starting back towards town over another mountain, and he would be the guy to do that leg. The next pacer was going to be Sandy, and Sandy is an extremely gifted ultra runner and endurance athlete. She's done eco challenges. She's completed lots and lots of 100-mile races, and so she was going to take me up over one of the worst climbs, this power line climb, and then back down over that hill into May Queen, which is the lake that I would run around with Addie, my daughter, and we get to do the grand finish at the end. So I had a great team lined up. I also have my support crew, Linda and Lou, who supported us at long haul. They had an RV at the main kind of hub called Outbound, which was the second aid station. And so they were going to be there they were there with their RV, and Linda does plant-based cooking, and she made all kinds of food for the crew, as well as me, when I was going to come by and grab a sandwich, whether it be a PB&J. She made some gazpacho. She had a tofu egg salad. I don't think I would have done that running, but for the crew, mustard sandwich, avocado, so things that I might eat, ramen noodles with mushroom broth, miso soup. Those were things that I was going to need through the night, and so she was ready there, prepared, as well as to have change of clothes, shoes, dry feet, and our first aid gear. So they rounded out our incredible crew. So on with the show. The race started, to go back a little bit, it was a family vacation, and I do want to thank all of the members of my practice who let me turn off my cell phone for 5 days and let me concentrate on the race and not have to worry about troubleshooting for them over the week before the race. Our whole practice took off that week. And it was a well-deserved vacation, I believe, for everybody. So thank you to all the members who let me just concentrate on Leadville. And we had great time on the week before. We did hiking, my grandson and granddaughter and Addie. We have another crew member, Melissa, that came out to help. And so we did some hiking the week before. Everybody got to see a little bit of the Leadville course, and it was great. The morning of the race started at 4 a.m. with a shotgun from Ken and Marilee, and the plan was to go out, try to maintain a certain pace that I had maintained, get to the second aid station, continue on. So I had all these paces laid out. One thing Mike Tyson says is a good plan is good until you get hit in the face. And so the first shot at 4 a.m., we started down a road, and then we bared off into a dirt road and then a trail kind of a Jeep trail that was rocky and rooty, and it was dark. I thought since I only had a couple hours before it got daylight that I'd be fine with just a headlamp. But given the number of people, the dust, and the darkness that there was, I really didn't feel comfortable in the rocks and the roots and the Jeep trail too much with just the headlamp on. So it slowed me down. That's part of being 63 years old and wearing contacts. And again, night vision was just, again, not trained to run in the night as much as I should be. So I slowed down to a pace that was slower than I wanted, but still not horrible. We ran around the lake. There's about 7 miles around this lake that became more technical than I had remembered. And again, I was a little slower than I wanted to be. I was just really praying for the light to come out so I could get rid of the headlamp. And when it did, I finished. And I finished the first aid station with about 15 minutes to spare, which was not as much as I wanted, but enough if I could continue according to my plan. From there, we went up a road. And when I say up, I'm continuing up. There's no down at this point for a while. Up a road and then onto the Colorado Trail. The Colorado Trail is a narrow path through the woods. It is a trail, but it's very rocky. Big rocks, little rocks, sideway rocks, rock steps, and absolutely beautiful up through the woods. And at that point, I was pretty much by myself. A couple other runners scattered, one sitting on a rock who had sprained his ankle. But for the most part, I was by myself in this wooded area, which was quite beautiful and peaceful. Also probably a pretty good place for a bear, but I didn't see any, and I didn't really look for any. I was just looking at the rocks and going up and up and up. I wasn't making that much time. I was going slower than I wanted to still. But I thought, well, if I can continue this and I can get to the next section, maybe I'll be able to speed up a little bit. You go up the Colorado Trail, and then you come out on a road that you take for about a mile before you hit another Jeep road. And this road was very runnable, but it was about a 15% grade that kept me from picking up any speed. And I got to tell you, I was starting to feel it by then. I had been going up and up and up. My hamstrings were a little bit tight. And I just was not able to move at the pace that I needed to move. I could be slow and steady like a burro, but I was a long way from being Seabiscuit. And made the turn up onto the Jeep road, and it winds, switchbacks, rocks, roots. Not horrible, but enough that it made me running, again, not being able to go and pick up or gain any time. After about 3 or 4 miles of that, I finally made it to the top of the mountain, which is called Sugarloaf Pass. And that was just over 11,000 feet in the air. And the view was spectacular. I could look down and see the lake that I had ran by. You could see for miles. You could see the mountain range all around. It was absolutely gorgeous. Cool temperatures, about 60, spitting rain a little bit, but nothing horrendous. And absolutely beautiful. But I was tired and started down the other side. Problem with going downhill is when the downhill is so steep that you would rather have a sled than your feet. That's another issue. So by the time I started down, it was, I'm working my way down slowly to try not to roll and tumble down the hill, and I'm not moving fast enough. I am not moving fast enough, and it's a long way. And the more you have to hold back to try to keep yourself, the more you have to brake, the harder it is. So I was really using my quadriceps, the front of my legs, to an extreme amount, and I was really getting tired. And I wasn't making any time, and I realized at that point that I was probably going to time out. And when I finally got down, I'm working my way down, I could actually see over the horizon to the next aid station, and it was a large field at Outbound where the RV was, and everybody was going to be waiting for me. And it looked like little tiny matchbox cars in the distance. And it was demoralizing to think that I had so much to go and so little time before cutoff. But I continued, forward steady progress, but not near fast enough to be able to make the cutoff time. And I knew that was going to happen. And I actually let my crew know it's like, there's just nothing I can do, to get down here any quicker. And you hit a pavement, you got about 2 miles on pavement before you get to that next aid station, and I was out of water. I'd eaten pretty much. I was carrying gels. I was carrying waffles that I used for running. I had some gummy worms. I had some cookies. I ate everything, and I had drank my electrolyte solution, drank my water, and I'm, going down this road, and I'm demoralized, and I see a water, some home along the route had put a water cooler out. And so I thought, well, at least I might as well finish, the miles that I have with water. So I stopped and got water, and I noticed there was a guy behind me. He's about 100 yards behind me. And I decided, I'm going to beat this guy. I'm going to keep ahead of this guy. If one thing I do today, I'm going to have one success. I'm going to get in front of this guy and maintain it to the end. And so we were running, and I could hear him. He was close enough that I could hear his footsteps, about 100 yards behind me. He stopped to get water too. And we just kept running along the path, or the road. And I was finally got to a straight stretch, and I was trying to really see where the turn was into this next aid station. And it just didn't seem like it was getting any closer. And finally I saw this little person standing near a sign. It turned out it was Michael waiting for me at the turn, and made it to the turn to the aid station. And I actually stopped at that point and looked back at the guy behind me, and he was struggling too. And I said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "From New Jersey." And I said, "We have the same problem. We live at the same elevation." He said, "Yeah, 5 feet." And it's like, yeah. So we ran into the next aid station together, and that was the end of my day. So I made it to the RV, and my crew was waiting for me. They felt bad. I felt bad, but I gave it my best shot for that day. Not every day is a good day, but it was a good day because, again, the start of that race is phenomenal. You head down a road with 700 of your best friends. And the beauty of the course, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Leadville and the mountains, it's a little slice of heaven. After the race, you read social media and you look at different things, and really the finish rate is under 50%. And when you look at the people that didn't finish, which were none of the women over 60. I think there were 5 or 6 of us that started the race. About 4 or 5 men over 60 out of probably 30 or so finished. It doesn't, it's not just being a woman over 60 that doesn't finish. The Leadville course takes no prisoners. There were people that you would thought would finish, young people, old people, muscular people, skinny people, every size and shape that you can imagine start that race with the hopes of finishing, and things happen. Altitude affects people. I didn't think I was affected so much by the altitude, although it does slow you down. In my training, I would look at running in Florida, then I'd add a minute for trails onto my minute pace, and I'd add a minute for altitude. And that was pretty accurate, but I think the altitude does take a toll on you quicker than just regular running at lower elevation levels. You get dehydrated quicker. You're not sweating, so you don't realize it, but you're losing more fluid, and you're certainly burning calories. I was eating everything I could get my hands on for the most part, and still burning through for without really knowing it. And the reality of it is the altitude is such it's hard to really take in much more. That's part of the problem, is being able to take in enough calories without getting sick. So a little bit queasy at the first, but I kind of got that under control. But it was more of the technical aspect of not being able to go fast enough on the trails to maintain the paces that I needed to complete it in good time. Had I had unlimited time, yeah, maybe I would have got it. But maybe not as well. So that's kind of where I am. I just need to do more technical training and more strength training. I think that not being completely well until springtime did hurt a little bit, but again, wouldn't trade it for the world to be able to go out there with my family the week before and to be on that start line and to give it a try. It also gave me good insight to how it's going to be and what to focus for in the future. A lot of people ask why, and after I did my first marathon, my mother asked me. She said, Did you get this out of your system yet?" And I wondered after Leadville if I got that out of my system yet, and probably not. Probably not. At first, I thought I did. It's like, well, this is ridiculous to try this, but I'm not so sure. I think that I wasn't that far off. A little bit more training, a little bit more strength, and I'm probably going to give it a go again. Maybe I'll go back to the 50 and try to get that mastered a little bit beforehand, but it's not over yet. And I think that's the great thing, is that you got to keep trying. I love to be outside. I love to be in the woods and on the trails. I did the road racing scene, running with 10,000, 20,000 of your best friends, but I love that feeling on the trails. I met a lot of great people. I met people that I met the year before. I have the opportunity to have a wonderful support system in my crew that, we're all there despite the outcome. So I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity, and looking forward to doing it again, really. So what's next? October 24th, I've got another trail race in Alabama called the Coldwater Creek. So there'll be some climbs there, practice my technical training, may add in a road ultra, and then we have long haul 100 in January. So plenty of training to do. We have a hill here in Sarasota called Celery Fields. Be practicing on that. So increasing strength training, increasing speed, and back on the horse, so to speak. While we were there, we had a house, and we did most of our own cooking. We did have a veggie pizza from the local pizza place, and we did get burritos from a Mexican place in Leadville to support the community, but we did most of our own cooking. We had a pasta dinner the night before the race with a big salad. Addie actually made tofu crumbles. We had roasted vegetables and quinoa. So there was a whole host of things that we did as far as eating in house. We did a tofu scramble. So it's pretty easy to travel. There was one grocery store in town, Safeway, that had actually a lot of organic food. So we were able to cook our meals and get plenty of food there. We did do some frozen vegetables, and that makes it easy if you're traveling to be able to cook something quick, especially if you have limited cooking supplies. But in this house, we actually had a tremendous amount of cooking supplies. So we could have done anything we really wanted, but we didn't want to spend a whole lot of time in the kitchen. But it's important when you're traveling to continue to eat healthy. So it is doable, made us healthier for for the whole duration. So, it's always good if you can have access and control your own food intake. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you haven't listened to some of our other episodes, please give it a shout out or a look at. If you want to know more about our practice, how we help people achieve their optimal health and wellness, go over to drdulaney.com, DoctorDulaney. You can email me at Jami@drdulaney.com with any questions. I do this because I love what I do in a medical community, but I also believe in walking the walk, and I want to push myself as far as I can, as long as I can, in a healthy way, and I'd like to help you do it too. So thank you for listening. See you next time.